Welcome to the Local.
A 724 podcast.
In 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to the Local Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Hauser. Today in studio, we have Ashley Kertes of the Greensburg Community Development Corporation. And Think Greensburg, if you're a big fan of the Instagram. How are you?
Good. How are you, Jordan?
I'm doing pretty great. So what I wanted to do is kind of just get your story about how you got into the GCDC and, just kind of tell us a little bit about what you guys do there, how it came together, and what you guys see the future of that being.
Yeah, sure. So I actually started with the organization back in July of 2018. So I've been there for a little over 2 years now. And I actually, prior to that, I worked in, of all places, payroll at the Westmoreland County Courthouse. So I worked in the payroll and retirement department. And I enjoyed my job very much, but that's just something I realized I didn't want to do that for the rest of my life. I didn't want to sit at a desk and calculate payroll all day long. So the opportunity came to apply for the executive director position at the Greensburg Community Development Corporation. And I'll be honest, I really didn't know that much about the organization prior to me applying for the job. So I did some research and I thought this is something that, number one, it looks like an awesome job, something that's different every day, and also something that really makes a difference in the community. So it's, like I said, it is something different every day. I wake up and I don't know what my schedule is going to be most of the time. I deal with a lot of, local business owners, a lot of developers who are interested in developing new properties in town. It's really a great job, and I'm so glad that I made the decision.
Yeah. I mean, it's awesome. I know I reached out to you a little earlier this year to help me kind of look for a space that I want to do, put my video company in. Mm-hmm. And, you were very, very helpful to reach out to me and hit me up with a bunch of different listings and things like that. It was so helpful because, I mean, you can get online and you can look and see commercial space, whatever, Anytown, USA. And, unless it's a super heavily populated area, you're not really getting all the options that you think you are.
Right. Yeah, there are a lot of properties that people have for sale or for lease that they don't have on the typical commercial property listings that you see, like Zillow or anything like that. A lot of those properties I just know because I have personal relationships with those people. And they reach out to me and say, hey, I have 1,000 square feet of office space for lease on Pennsylvania Avenue. If you have anybody interested, let me know. So it's just having those personal relationships and knowing those connections that may not be up on typical websites for people to see.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that stuff, it's hard to find. And it's nice to know that there's we can reach out to you and just see what's available. And because cultivating those relationships with those people, that's something that you've gone ahead and done. Mm-hmm. People like me who are new to, running their own business. I've been doing it for 3 years, but it's been out of my home office. Mm-hmm. So now that I want to I'm growing out of my home office and I want to get out into, the city and stuff, there are those relationships that I have not been able to cultivate yet. You know what I mean? So it's nice to reach out and have somebody that's already done that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just a small portion of what we do. And we do have it actually up on our website at thinkgreensburg.com. So if you are interested in looking for any commercial space for lease or for sale, we do have the list up on our website too. So that was something that we added last year. So now you don't just have to call me. You can just go on our website and look on your own too. So that's been something that I've been wanting to do since I started 2 years ago. So I'm proud of that. But again, we work with local business owners, not only in locating space for lease or to purchase, but we also have some grant programs that we help local business owners out with, as well as property owners. And we actually fund those programs through grants that we get. So most recently, we got a grant for $20,000 from the Community Foundation of Westmoreland County. And with that $20,000, we're going to fund our Facade improvement grant program. And that will provide up to $5,000 to any commercial property owner or business owner who's looking to upgrade the facade of their building. So again, and we give up, like I said, up to $5,000. The most recent one that we awarded, I believe, was to Invisible Man Brewing over the summer for their new signage and some of the other new things that they did to their facade. So that's just one of the programs that we have. And we just love to help out anybody and give people an incentive to not only open a business in Greensburg, but to come and build new buildings, renovate older buildings. Because I know that you're familiar. We have so many older buildings that need renovated. And it's just so hard to find the funds to do it and to find somebody who is willing to take on that kind of a project.
Yeah. Yeah, there's tons of character, tons of amazing architecture in this city. It just, I mean, there's a building. The way that I found you actually was down across from Deviate is this building. I don't even know what it's called, but on the corner, it has windows on both sides, like the corner. And that's where I saw a flyer with you guys on it.
Yeah.
And but I was sitting there like looking in that building thinking like, how amazing would this be to be like either an office space or a restaurant, something you could like walk up and like have, those clear garage doors or something like that open, like the south side or something. That would be amazing. And that building, I'm pretty sure, has been empty for like 30 years, somebody said.
It's been empty for quite a while. We actually owned the building, and we bought it several years ago with hopes to, get some grant funding to fix it up and turn it into what you said, office space and some retail space on the main level. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, so we ended up selling the building.
Yeah.
But it's in good hands, and the gentleman who purchased it, he wants to put in a ballroom dance studio on the main floor with those big windows.
Oh, wow.
And then put some office space and apartments above. So maybe in a few years when he's done with it, you can hit him up for some office space.
Right. Or a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it's just like there's so much character and like right there on what is it,
West 2nd Street.
Yeah, 2nd Street. It's just like that is like, so awesome. It just flows right into Pennsylvania Avenue. Everything is just like right in that area is just so like ready to be utilized. I think it's just been like sitting dormant for so long, and it's just like, look, it's time to use that space.
Yep, and things are finally happening in town, especially in that part of town, on South Pennsylvania Avenue, West 2nd Street. The building that we just sold that we were just talking about, once that's done, I think really the next big building would be the Troutman building right next to that.
Yeah.
With that orange facade. That's another one. We had plans years ago to get a hotel in that location.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that didn't work, but we're still working with the developer, several developers actually, and trying to place a hotel somewhere in downtown Greensburg.
Yeah.
So can't say too much, but there is still interest.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
It would be. But again, South Pennsylvania Avenue, that is the place, that's where all the action's happening right now. And it would be great if we could just continue that up onto Main Street. That'll be the next step. So that's what we're working on at GCDC.
Yeah. I see Main Street is really like coming together. I mean, especially like you've got the White Rabbit up there, Sundog, and then with the addition of the ballet, and then Fitness Emmy was already up there. There were plans for like a pizza place or something like that going in up there.
Yeah, Doughwood.
Yeah. So it's like, things are happening. It's very awesome to see, what's taking place just all over the place.
Right. And just in the past 2 years since I've been with the organization, it's amazing to see how many things have changed and how many new businesses have come into town. I grew up in North Huntington, Irwin area, and I moved here to the city of Greensburg about 4 years ago. And it's amazing to me to see the change in downtown Irwin. And everybody always likes to compare Greensburg to downtown Irwin. And they say, why can't Greensburg be like Irwin?
Yeah.
And I hate when people say that because Greensburg's better. No offense to my hometown, but we have more here. I mean, it's the capital of Westmoreland County. We have the beautiful museum, the Palace Theater, the county courthouse. We have all these amazing things here that it could actually be much better than that. It has much more potential, and I think we're moving in the right direction.
Yeah. I think that maybe when the majority of people say that, I think maybe they're thinking, why can't it be as easy to make it happen?
Right.
Maybe something like that.
Right.
Because, I lived in Lancaster for 4 years, and that was probably my favorite place I've ever lived in my life. It's like there you really get that sense of like this small community really owns that place. It's not big corporations. It's not like, maybe I'm sure there's all kinds of red tape and stuff that they have to go through just like us and all that stuff to get things going. But it just seems like things happen way faster out there. And like, there's more opportunity for like small business owners and mom and pop shops. They don't have to compete with, a McDonald's moving in to town.
Right.
It's against the rules. You can't do it. They won't let them in within the city limits. So it's just like, I think maybe when people say stuff like that, it's, because I've said that. I've just been like, Jesus, why can't, why couldn't I pick up Lancaster and just move it to Greensburg? And I think that it's exciting to be like kind of on the ground floor when all this is like happening. I really like watching it because when I was in Lancaster, I was just enjoying what, everybody else had already done and already like, worked to get there. But I feel like, if I were to make that comment, it would be, there's so many activities and stuff going on all the time that it's like, why isn't that happening here? You know what I mean? I think that's more what people were saying, but it really does take a lot of work. Like I knew some people that were, very integral in taking care of, the First Fridays or Music Friday, Music Thursdays, or whatever day that was. And, to have an event that size going on almost once a week is bonkers. That's insane.
Yeah.
Like just talking to Adam Fitz and talking to Kelly Brisbane about Music Fest and what it took to get that together, that's
work.
Crazy. So yeah, I mean, I do see things happening like that, and it's cool to like kind of have this podcast being the reason that I'm networking with the people who are doing this type of thing. And, kind of getting tidbits here and there, like, a little bit of news here and there about what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah. Well, and the nice thing too about what's happening now in Greensburg is we have a lot of people who work well together. We all have the same common goal. We all want to see the same thing for downtown Greensburg. And I think just having all these people in place working together, that's really made the difference in the past several years. So I'm excited to see how that continues.
Yeah, it's very important. I mean, like, and that's like one of the biggest things that I think that I saw in Lancaster was just that, like, it wasn't somebody who was trying to make a name for themselves. It was like a group of people that were really trying to take the community and transform it into something that a younger generation could really respect and continue to, make an important part of their lives.
Right.
And that's what I'm starting to see here. When I first moved back here, it was very cliquish. It was like, you had like the popular girl or the popular guy who was like, had their little clique of people. And it was like, that's all you heard about were just these people. And now it's just like, there's more people coming in who are involved. And that clique has kind of just like, disassembled. And it's nice.
Yeah, that's exactly what needs to happen. And it's great to see everybody. Like I said, I have a vested interest in seeing Greensburg thrive. I live here. And again, like I mentioned earlier, I grew up in North Huntington. My husband, he grew up in Hempfield. We both wanted to either live in North Huntington or Hempfield, but we ended up living in the city of Greensburg. We never had any intentions of moving here, but we found a great house, right price. It ended up being close to work, close to everything. And I'm so thankful that we moved here because it's close to everything. There's always something going on in downtown. We can walk everywhere. I can walk to work. I don't always, but I probably should do that more, but I could if I wanted to. But the cost of living here, I mean, you can get a great house for a great price.
No
I
doubt.
mean, it's a great place for families. And I think that's one thing that one of the goals that I have in the next few years is to promote Greensburg as a great place, not only to come and visit, but to live and to raise a family here. Because again, low cost of living, it's a safe community. We have an excellent police force.
Yeah.
It just has that great community feeling, and we just need to promote that.
It really, I mean, I just had this conversation with our 13-year-old just the other day. He said something about Greensburg and like, if we lived in New York, we would make so much more money. And I was like, well, yeah. I said, you would, but let me explain you what is happening here. So like we went through the whole, like, what you make here and what you make there, definitely different figures on paper. But when you put in like cost of living, then it's like, you probably do it much better back here.
Exactly.
And, he couldn't understand like, well, if you're making like $250,000 in New York, why can you only get an apartment? And I was like, well, because apartments are crazy expensive. They're like, a nice apartment's probably like $4,000, $5,000 a month.
Right.
And it's still like not our house. Like, you know what I mean?
Not nearly as nice.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's an important thing. And the fact that like we had that conversation was just like, I think it was pretty enlightening to him. He was just like, oh, well, that's awesome. Pennsylvania is awesome. And I was like, yeah, it is. I mean, it's pretty neat. So, what are some of the other things that you guys, do as far as, community outreach and things like that? Yeah.
Well, you mentioned the commercial property listing. That's just one of the things that we do. I mentioned the Facade Improvement Grant Program. One of the other things that we have implemented is called the LERTA program. And that program is pretty common throughout or in other cities across the state, but ours is a little bit different. We call it LRTA with a twist. Basically what LRTA is, it's a tax abatement program. I won't bore you too much with the details and the numbers, but it stands for Local Economic Revitalization Tax Assistance. And property owners who either build a new commercial structure or they change the footprint of an existing commercial structure are eligible to participate in this program. And they'll actually save 25% in their property taxes over a 10-year period. So it's a way to incentivize development. We have 3 properties who are part of the LRTA program right now. The first one is the College Avenue Apartments, those new apartments on 112 College Avenue. They were built a few years ago. The second property is the medical marijuana facility. I believe it's called Delta 9 now. The name's changed a few times, but that's the second property. And then the third property is Beagley and Company. The first 2 were new construction, and then Beagley, they added on to their existing building. So they changed the footprint. So all 3 of those properties are in the LRTA program. So again, they'll save 25% in their property taxes over a 10-year period. And then at the 11th year, they'll have to pay the full amount. But the reason that we call it LRTA with a twist is a portion of the abated taxes. It was an agreement between the county, the school district, and the city to abate these taxes. So a portion, 65%, actually gets paid to the GCDC and goes into what's called the G Fund, or the Greensburg Revitalization Fund. So that money in that G Fund has to be used back out onto projects in the city. So with that money, we've created what we call the G Fund grant program. We just started that last November. And we have 2 applicants. Actually, I'm sorry, we have 1 applicant. We awarded another applicant earlier this year, so we've had 2 so far. But we will give property owners up to $25,000 to help with renovations, anything that basically makes a big impact in the city of Greensburg. So that could be anything like tax generation, anything involved with green building. There's a whole list of things that are eligible for the G Fund program. But again, it's just another tool to incentivize development in the city.
Yeah. I mean, and that's quite an incentive. I mean, just like, that's over 10 years. That's a lot of money.
Right. It is. Yeah. But like I said, a lot of other cities throughout the state, they have the same program, but they don't have that G Fund component to it. So that's why we call it LRTA with a twist. We could also use that money on beautification projects on the in the city as well, if you wanted to redo sidewalks or anything like that. So, and the nice thing about that is those 3 properties that are part of the G Fund or part of the LRTA program, they pay into the G Fund each year. So it's a self-sustaining fund and it's replenished every year.
Yeah. Hear me out. I have an idea. Garbage cans.
Yes.
More garbage cans throughout the city.
I thought the same exact thing. I was thinking about getting a grant for that recently.
Right?
So
I've been
you have the
touting
same
this
idea.
since the first episode of this podcast. Yeah, I keep mentioning it, and everyone always laughs and says, like, "Yep, I heard you here. I heard you mention the garbage cans again." I think it would be a great idea.
I'll work on that.
There's been tons of times where, like, you're at an event, maybe like a barbecue trucks in the parking lot or something like that. You take your stuff out for a walk. You're going to shop somewhere, and you can't find a garbage can. I'm like, oh my god,
you're
give
right
me your
about
stuff,
that.
and you run back and throw it away. But yeah, I think it's great. I mean, and like to do other things, do you guys have any ideas or anything that you could even share with us? I guess maybe like a little wish list of things that you guys have thought maybe that G Fund would help fund. Like,
well, one of the things that I think would be great is to maybe update the signage in downtown Greensburg. Some of the welcome signs coming into town in the gateway districts, and then other signage in town. I think that needs updated. Again, some sidewalk repair. That's definitely something that we'd have to collaborate on the city with and see what the city government, what they would like to see too.
Yeah.
But we work very closely with them, especially the city planning department. So I work with them all the time. And actually the city planning director, Jeff Rakes, he actually sits on our board of directors. So again, we work very closely with them. So we'd kind of see what they would like to see done as well.
That's really cool. I mean, it's great that, like, again, you guys are just like very connected, and that's a great thing. Cause like, I mean, I moved back here in 2014, and just, 6 years later, I'm already starting to see such a difference, as far as like people working with each other. And, I've had conversations with people about all this red tape, and it was always, the city council and like the old boys club and all of that stuff. And it was always those guys, in quotes, I don't know who they are, preventing all these things from happening. And now it just seems like, everything is just it's really happening. Everyone's jumping on the train, and it's nice. I mean, like the food truck decision.
Yeah, that's a big one.
I mean, I watched the first video, and I did not expect the outcome that we got. I was just like, whoa, what? Like, that's like, asking for an inch and getting a mile.
Right.
It was so awesome that they decided to do that, because I think that, like, it's little things like that, just kind of like the understanding where you can go and explain to, like, these business owners, let's just use, we'll use the venue as an example, and Invisible Man, just because they're so close. And, it's just, if I'm going out to Invisible Man dressed the way that I am, and I'm going to get a beer and maybe a taco from the truck or something like that, there was no way that I was set up and ready to go to the venue to get a lobster tail.
Right.
So that truck did not steal anybody's business. It just is there. And, the people that are coming down to town in like suits and ties and all that stuff, and, want to go eat that fancy dinner, are going there. And if they can't get a table right away, they're not going to walk outside and be like, you know what, there is a hot dog truck right there. Let's do this.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on that. Yeah, I say the same thing. If I want to eat from a food truck, I'm going to go eat from a food truck. If I want to eat at a fancy restaurant, I'm going to go to a fancy restaurant. There's no really comparison.
Yeah,
I'm going to go and get what I'm in the mood for. So,
exactly. And I think it's really neat, like I said, just to see like everybody kind of like working together to make things happen. Because it's all about like, and like you said, you live here. So you're invested in this. I live here, me and my family. It's really important, to be able to, have my parents come in from Latrobe or something. And like, on a Saturday, we go down and, maybe my wife and my mom go shopping or do whatever they want to do. Me and my dad, we go and grab some beers and we hang out. And we just like, that's what we did when we were in Lancaster. It was so much fun because like my mom would like look forward to this trip all year, go and just walk around and like check out all the shops and stuff. Me and my dad go grab a beer, would hang out, would watch football, would do this and that. And that's really like able to happen here. In 2014, not even at all.
No, not at all.
Not even possible.
And a lot of people still don't realize that there are more things to do in downtown Greensburg. I have friends, I tell them about places, and they say, oh, what's that? And they've never heard of it. I said, come to downtown Greensburg. You should hang out here more often. And then they do. And then they say, I never knew half of the stores were there. I didn't know these places existed. So again, I think that's one of the other goals you mentioned earlier. What do I see? I think we could better market the city and attract more people to come and, like I said, not only live here, but to visit too, because there's too many people who live close by and they don't even know what's here.
Yeah. It really, I mean, it's so cool. And like, so as far as like Think Greensburg and stuff, like how do you guys leverage that, the Instagram page, to kind of like go along with this whole like, resurgence thing and really getting these ideas out to the public? And like you said, like your friends, they had no idea. How do you use Think Greensburg to kind of like push all that stuff out there?
Yeah, well, we try to promote local businesses as much as possible. Again, we share everything on Instagram. We also have a Facebook page. We are more focused on bringing development to downtown Greensburg and supporting businesses. But again, marketing the city and showing people everything that we have to offer, that's also an important component of it too. So we try to do that as much as possible. And actually, one other thing that I wanted to talk about, this kind of segues into that, is we recently received a $150,000 grant from the Richard King Mellon Foundation as part of their COVID-19 relief program. And what we did with that money is we created another grant program called the Main Street Jumpstart program. And we actually just sent out letters to everybody this week, giving them award announcements. We've awarded 23 City of Greensburg small business owners with grants up to $10,000 to help them bounce back from the effects of COVID-19. So the reason I talk about that is, number one, I think it's an awesome thing. But number two is because we're also using a portion of those funds to create a marketing campaign for downtown Greensburg. We haven't begun that yet. But again, that's just another way we can apply for grants because we're a nonprofit organization. And with those grants, we can basically use them for whatever we want. And again, we decided to create a marketing campaign for downtown Greensburg. We haven't begun any of that planning yet, but we do have a good bit of money to do that. So I'm excited to get that started.
That's incredible. I mean, and that's like, it's very important that, people really, because like you said, I mean, even people that live close might not be so in tune with
You're right.
kind of
That's a
like
good point.
what this group of people are doing, you know? So like, I know because like, you know, I'm trying to help as much as I can. And I know because I get to talk to all of you guys. So it's like, I feel like, you know, it's loud and proud and everyone knows about it, but it might not actually be that way, you know, to the outside, you know, people. So it's like, to get that marketing campaign off the ground, to like really kind of throw this out there and, you know, see what people think about it is such an important thing. I know a guy who shoots video.
Oh yeah, do you?
Yeah, I do.
I'll have to think about using.
Let's see. Yeah. I'll give you his contact information.
Sounds good.
But do you guys like, I mean, so restaurant week.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. So like, you know, the level of like attention that gets, you know, I think that, you know, obviously you guys are very good at spreading the word about things, you know, like really kind of getting your minds wrapped around an idea and really going with it. So like, you know, to see something like that marketing campaign take on the level of like restaurant week would be awesome. That would be like fantastic. But talk to me about restaurant week. How did you guys like come up with that?
Yeah. So that started last summer. It's something that we'd been thinking about for a while, and we finally just decided to pull the trigger and go ahead with it. I mean, I'm a big food person. I love to eat.
Yep.
I always go to Pittsburgh Restaurant Week. I think it's awesome. And again, we talked about people not realizing what's in downtown Greensburg. People don't realize the restaurants that we have in downtown Greensburg.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do something to not only promote those restaurants, but to bring people into the city. So if they come and they go to Jay Cork's, for example, we encourage them to, you know, walk around downtown Greensburg, see what shops are open, see what's here, because again, people don't know. So that was the thought process behind it. But we were overwhelmed with the success of the event. People were really excited about it. People would go multiple times during the week to different restaurants. I think people were really excited because restaurants were encouraged to have new menu items, so something that isn't typically on their menu, and that got people excited. And you'd see people taking pictures and saying, okay, I go to Jay Cork's one night. The next night, I'm going to go to Sundog Cafe. And again, the same friends that I talked about earlier, they didn't know that Jay Cork's existed or Sundog Cafe. So again, it got people not only to go to new restaurants and support restaurants, but it also got them out and about in downtown Greensburg and introduced them to something that they weren't familiar with.
Yeah. It was really neat to see that it still took place, like with COVID and everything like that. The really cool thing, I think, that happened, maybe the silver lining with the whole COVID thing, was just that people already started to think more locally. Like, I mean, let's just call it hyper local.
Yeah.
I mean, like everyone was like very hyper local. So when Restaurant Week came around, that was something that people had already kind of been doing for a couple months.
Yeah.
And it was just like, you know, I felt like there was a really big, you know, kind of positive vibe going on that week. It was really cool. I was down doing some podcasting at the Palace Theater. They had some like courtyard concerts and things like that.
Yes, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, so it was awesome. Every single night there was a different restaurant that provided the meal for the concerts that night, and it was like very cool just to see like the community like really like working hand in hand like that.
Yeah, and I have to give Adam at the Cultural Trust the credit for that. He came up with that idea to collaborate and kind of have a different version of Greensburg Restaurant Week in combination with the concert series that they had down at the Palace. And it's something I've been wanting to do. I've been trying to think of ways to partner not only with the Trust, but other local organizations for Greensburg Restaurant Week. But he came up with the perfect idea, especially something that was COVID friendly, so to speak.
Right, yeah.
But like you said, I think people are already used to Restaurant Week, but people are so sick and tired of sitting in the house, and they wanted to feel some sense of normalcy again. So I think by having not only Restaurant Week, but then having the outdoor event that the Cultural Trust hosted as well, people felt normal again, at least for a little bit. So
yeah, it was awesome. I mean, that week, I know, I mean, we did barbecue. We did Sundog like 4 times, lunch and dinner on a couple days, and then Sunset Cafe. So I know that there was probably another one in there at some point, but I know that we did a lot that week, and it was perfect because, like, you know, with us going down and spending every night at the Palace, and then, you know, doing that, we didn't have time to like come home, cook dinner or anything like that. So it was just like tons of running around. We were busy. I was working during the day, working at night. So it was really nice to, kind of see everybody out and about, getting food, picking up deliveries or whatever, or picking up takeout or whatever. And it was great.
Yeah, it was a good week. And we were actually hesitant. We didn't know if we were going to have Restaurant Week this summer for obvious reasons. But I reached out to the restaurant owners and I said, what do you guys want to do? Because this isn't about us. This is about you. If you want to go ahead and have us plan this because you're the ones who are struggling right now, is this going to benefit you or do you want us to wait? And they said, no, we want to go ahead. We want to have it. And I'm so glad that we did because, again, it's not about us. It's about the restaurant owners and it's about supporting them. So they saw a really great increase in sales that week and it was a success.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Very awesome. Is there anything else that you want to tell me about?
I'm trying to think. Let's see. We covered Restaurant Week. We covered our grants. Not really. I mean, I'm sure I could go on and on about stuff, but...
Oh, yeah. I could sit here and talk Greensburg Resurgence like all day, every day. It's such an exciting thing, to like kind of be, I don't know if you ever have those like introspective moments where you're sitting there thinking and you're just like, man, I'm really excited that I am around to see this. Mm-hmm. And it's like, this is one of the things because like when I moved back here, that's all I was talking about was like the events and the community, how it's set up in Lancaster and stuff. And friends of mine were just like, dude, go talk to people, see if you can. And I'm like, that's impossible. Not going to happen. And, years and years went by and finally I was just like, I want to see like, what we can do here and this and that and like who I can talk to and, get some ideas flowing and things. And, it started happening and I was just like, yes, this is perfect. Like it's already starting to happen. Mm-hmm. So that's what I just wanted to like have these conversations with people. And it's great.
Yeah, it is. And back to what you said about, seeing all this happen, it's amazing to me when I started with this organization, like I said, just 2 years ago, the changes that I've seen in that short period of time and a lot of them that I've been involved in. And sometimes you don't really get a chance to sit back and realize everything that you've accomplished and everything that's changed. But when you really sit down and think about everything that's happened, it's amazing.
It really is. It's amazing to sit back and watch like, we'll use the, like Adam, for example, and things like that little idea that he had in the beginning of all of this was like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. Would you like to be involved? I was like, yeah, definitely. And, it just was a thing that we talked about and then it got closer and closer. And then it was like, oh man, this is really happening. And I was like, oh, wait a minute, man. I've never done this live in front of anybody. And he's like, well,
best way to learn.
We're doing it. And I was like, oh, Jesus. So yeah, it just like, it really like happened. And then, to see that whole like, him including the restaurants in on that and everything. And I mean, the crowd that was coming down there, they were so pumped about like the music, the podcast, the food and everything like that. And, we had to cancel one night.
That's right. Because of the storms.
Yeah. I think it was Friday. We missed Derek Woods and his brother, Ryan, of course. So that night there was food available and most of the people that were there went and picked their food up and took it home and ate it. Like they were like really excited because, they had that. They were looking forward to that meal.
Right. And that's a great thing about Restaurant Week too. People look forward to that. They plan for that. They get a schedule together for the week. I mean, I know I do. I'm sure I'm not the only one. Maybe I am. I don't know. But they make plans with their friends and family and they get a whole thing ready for the week. So we love doing it. We do it twice a year. We hope to do it again in January or February of 2021. Mm-hmm. I hope that still happens. We'll see what's going on, but that's the goal.
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
I'm sure it will.
I think so.
I think that, we kind of got like blindsided by this whole entire thing, COVID. And I don't think we were ready for it. And now that I think we at least know what to do and how to deal with it and ways to like, mitigate all these different things, I feel like we're definitely going in the right direction. We can do different things. I mean, I'd like to see, businesses, everyone's always like, Walmart. Well, Walmart stayed open the entire time and Gabe stayed open. I agree with that. So I want there to be like other businesses too, that like maybe we figure out like square footage divided by, how many people can you have in? Mm-hmm. Do it that way. Don't shut down the whole thing.
Right.
So it's just, you know what I mean?
I don't know that our business owners can afford to do that again.
Yeah.
So just hopefully we don't have to deal with that next year. But
yeah, that's the hope.
yeah. And I was, when this all happened, Greensburg development and everything was moving in such a great direction. And then COVID hit. And I thought, oh no, I hope this doesn't ruin the progress that we've made. But it hasn't. I mean, people are struggling, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that's gonna stop what's started years ago. I think we're still moving in the right direction.
Yep, absolutely. Ashley, thanks so much for coming in.
Thank you.
I had
for
a great
having
time
me.
talking to you.
Me
Very
too.
very enlightening and very exciting to be able to like look forward and, see all these different changes and stuff happening. So if you have any plugs, now's the time to do it.
I don't think so. I think All
good?
Yeah, I'm
Think
good.
Greensburg on the Instagram.
Oh yeah,
We'll
I
do
guess
that.
you could. You could follow us on Instagram at Think Greensburg and on Facebook as well at Think Greensburg.
And check out the GCDC website.
Yes, our website is thinkgreensburg.com. So if you're interested in any of the financial assistance programs, grant programs that I mentioned, that's where you'll find all the information.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much for coming in.
Okay, thanks, Jordan.